around as they like. And so there's a lot of intrusion of non-Nigerians into Nigeria without papers.
I think we need to investigate. From what Bello Tuku said, that is, Rochas is called everywhere, the governor of Imo State, as a northerner. So I don't see how he can, well, that's what they said. I don't see how he can, because he was born there, he was raised there, everything is done is there. So I don't see how he could make such a statement. So I think, please, we need to investigate so that we can now come back to now condemn, if we want to condemn this order.
What is worrying to me here is, even if all of us decide to start registering non-indigenous in our states, how that will resolve the issue of terrorism, how it will resolve insurgents, kidnapping, or armed robbery. Because if you register a terrorist and he decides to bomb a place, the fact of a registration will not stop him.
For some other lawmakers, the alleged plan is a symptom of a bigger problem.
I'm sorry, if it is the issue of identification, rather than treating the symptoms, we should also look at the cause. In this nation, for the past 20 years now, we have been trying in vain to get a universal identification for everybody. Billions of naira had been dissipated, and yet we could not conclude on it.
The Senate consequently asked President Goodluck Jonathan to direct security agencies not to work with the Imo State government to issue identity cards to northerners residing in the state. The upper chamber also called on the Imo State government to rescind the policy. To speak more on the issue and security challenges in the country, we sat down with the chairman, Senate Committee on Navy, Senator Chris Anyao.
The whole idea of registering northerners in my state, I think is one of those whimsical decisions that, were not processed or filtered through the proper channels in terms and were not well advised. Somebody has an attorney general, for instance. If you want to come up with a policy like that, it should be filtered through the prism of the law. You now get the attorney general to tell you what is the law, what does the law say about these things. Imo State are some of the best traveled people. They are liberal. They have a history of peaceful coexistence. They're all over the world. In Imo State, especially in Owerri, you have a section of the town called Hausa where these people have settled. Generations and generations of northern people have lived peacefully with our people. We do everything together with them. They speak Igbo better than some of us. They interact with them. Some of them are born of local mothers, and so on and so forth. Someone like me, I send them to Hajj. I take their children, I give them scholarship. Anything I'm doing in my constituency, I have to factor them in because they're part of us. That is the general attitude of the Imo person towards these people. And then suddenly somebody comes up with something like that. That does not reflect the attitude of the people, the history of the people, and it really is in a total violation of the Constitution.
How would you assess the manner in which the war on terrorism is being fought, particularly as regards capacity building of security agencies and intelligence gathering?
Well, this is an evolving situation. This is an unanticipated development. And what I have seen is that over time, we have gotten more and more in grip with it. Remember, our people are trained for conventional warfare. Their expertise is not in guerrilla warfare and the rest of it. And that is, it has taken time for our people to adjust. And you need special equipment, to deal with such situations. Now they are adjusting to it. What I even say, my own position, is that we should make major investment in equipping them and training them and getting them, to come to grips with this faster. We must walk out of the budget. Depending on budget envelopes to deal with this emergency, national emergency, is a mistake. And I know that Mr. President will be, at some point, will do the right thing, which is to find some money and invest in this and make sure that what you are investing that money in is what comes in. Every sensible person, every well-meaning Nigerian must be worried. I am deeply worried But again, that is the nature of what we are. When you sit with the security services and hear some of the things that they have discovered, you'll be amazed. Every day is a new day, new discoveries, and requires some rapid adjustment. I am worried, and I think that we have to adjust quickly. What I am wondering is some of our friends that came in recently, whether there has been any help, and whether that help has been meaningful enough, in helping them come to grips with this battle.
Now, the parents of the Chibok girls, the girls who were abducted, have said that they're losing hope of ever finding their children. Why do you think it is taking so long to rescue these girls?
You cannot dictate the speed. You cannot dictate the pace. It depends on what they are seeing out there. It depends on the issues on ground, which you and I may not know. Really, I mean, our wish is that they do it in one day. But from the history of insurgency and similar actions in the past and other parts of the world, we know that sometimes it takes a little bit time. Maybe there was delay in reaction, but I am still hopeful. And my advice for the parents, and it's extremely heartbreaking, and our hearts go out to them. My advice is that they don't close the door. They do not give up hope. They should keep praying, and government must continue to work seriously and rigorously. The thing is to stay alive. You pray that the kids stay alive, and once they are alive and see that day, then I think that they will be okay in the end, because they will go through a process that will help them, wipe these horrible memories away.
Now, it appears that politicians on both sides have used this abduction of Chibok girls to score political points. Are you worried about this?
Well, it's risky to play politics with such a very sensitive national security matter. It's very risky. And at the end of the day, when these bombs land, he does not select one party or the other. So the final effects, the effect will land on all of us together equally, and it's not going to be discriminatory. It's going to just land on the head of everybody together. So it's a risk that we should not, we should not really be pushing it that way. We should not play politics with this. It's one thing that should unite us to fight evil together, because nobody should support what is evil, what is destructive to our national psyche. What destabilizes and makes life a very risky and fearful thing. So I don't see what anybody has to benefit playing games and politics, with it.
Now, the day the Senate approved emergency rule, the extension of emergency rule, that's the recent one, some lawmakers made some requirements. They asked that some requirements be met. One of them was that security chiefs would come and brief the Senate on what they are doing so far, and that the funds sent for the security agencies will be monitored. Have these requirements been met?
Where I'm sitting, I cannot answer that question. I'm sure that the committees that deal with that, are in the picture of what is going on, and at the appropriate time that they will get back to us. But we have to really allow these people deal with the problem. We cannot sit in the chamber of National Assembly and dictate how they are going to fight terrorism, what weapons they will use, how often, this and that. There's a limit to which we can hamstring them. If we hamstring them, then they cannot do this thing effectively. So I think that we should give them benefit of the doubt, support them, because men are putting their lives at risk. A lot of people, maybe, we are losing men as well. So it's a huge risk they are taking on behalf of the nation, and we ought to support them. And where they do good, we ought to even allow them so that they can be encouraged to do more.
Now, one critical issue which some Nigerians have raised, that in this talk of fighting terrorism, no mention or little mention has been made about the porosity of our borders.
I don't know. I really don't know, because I share the view that the fact that we are good neighbors and we have overextended hospitality to our neighbors, to the extent that they've come to take us for granted and we left our flanks open to them, has contributed a lot to this. If Nigeria were tougher in terms of, regulating movement in and out of its borders, just like Cameroon is beginning to show. Once these people started pushing towards Cameroon, they got onto very seriously at their borders. And I think that we will need to see that. The only problem is Nigeria is such a large nation, and the frontier in which these people are operating very, very wide. And so it is putting pressure on resources, the numbers of men, and with the thing spreading also, you see that, people who should be on that flank will have to come this way. And the rest of it, we really need to put everything, all resources, all human resources, all material resources, channel it to fighting this war and winning it.
Now,